you would have some authority to talk to people about it. What you don't have is the authority is to go and tell them how it is about it. It has to be a mutual exchange. And that's what voluntary association is. If we were in a group and the plumber said, take the butter knives out of your drain, you're messing everything up. And I said, well, I don't like this group, I'm going to leave. Because I like butter knives in the drain because I'm a moron. When you leave the group, and and nobody could take that away from you. In the realm of if we get on a larger sociological thing, I think you're talking about, say, you putting butter knives in the drain caused a bunch of water backup, which was ruining, going to kill this one endangered fish. The community has a right to say, seriously, that's far-fetched, but let's go there. The community, those community groups that I talked about, your neighborhood, which would build up to bigger levels of assembly, would have the right to say, look, we're gonna have a direct action vote on this, direct democracy. You're welcome to come and put forth your thesis why you need those butter knives in your drain. But if we vote and this community decides that that's not what we're doing in this community, you have the right to voluntarily leave the community. But if you stay here, we've made this decision. That's not to say that he couldn't, if he decided to stay, there's all kinds of dissident actions he could take. He could continue to argue his point. He could protest. He could engage in certain direct actions. Seriously, you have to give people the right to leave or be forced, or say you have to give people the right to leave or not take your advice. That's the difference between being an authority and having authority. Authorities tell you what to do. Having authority, you can tell somebody what to do. Being authority means somebody will ask you what they think that you think they should do. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
This question's for Nate, the bearded fellow over there. And you were talking about pyramid schemes and whatnot, and I don't know how conscious or aware of you are of quote-unquote conspiracy theories of the modern times. But what do you think? Do you even know? Have you ever heard of a group called the Bilderberg Group? Vaguely?
Yeah, I know the name. You go into it a little bit
from my understanding, the Bilderberg Group is pretty much who is on top of the universal planetary pyramid scheme of everybody's life, political structure, international, national, every level. And I was just wondering if anybody, maybe particularly you, had any more knowledge on this, or if it's just some crackpot idea I've picked up on the internet somewhere.
Well, I'm certainly not going to sit here because we're not pals. I'm not going to be like, hey, crackpot, shut up. I'm not going to be that way. Because we're cool.
It's all right if you think so. I'm looking for some opinion here.
You're like, it's cool. I'm a crackpot.
We're anarchists, correct?
Right. No, I'm just teasing. When it comes to those types of things like conspiracy theories, the famous ones are like the Illuminati, the Masonic Zionist conspiracy, Zog, I guess, Zionist. One world government or what have you.
Yeah, New World Order.
Yeah. When it comes to those things, I think what you find is that they're rooted in some truths. But what you find is that when you extrapolate them to these natural extensions that usually, especially in the form of the Illuminati, I can't talk in particular about the Bilderberg Group because I'm only vaguely, peripherally familiar with it. I don't want to say something that's not true about it or what have you. In the case of the Illuminati, what you find is essentially you're saying what I'm saying in that, very wealthy, elite people have a lot of wherewithal to do what they want in society, and they're able to make connections within the confines of their own groups, country clubs, polo matches, other various they get together and wear monocles and top hats, let's just say stereotypical things like that, right? They play Monopoly with real $100 bills, but no. When they get together in those groups, they make connections that enable them to have certain advantages that you and I wouldn't have. Now, but if you worked at a restaurant and I knew you, I could probably get free food from you if we were pals. It kind of works like that, in my opinion, in that plus their connections enable them, to get with elites. They're me and you, we're talking about hooking each other up. Restaurant, you can come into my convenience store, I'll give you a candy bar or whatever. For them, they're talking about, yeah, sure, I'll support your new credit card, venture. I'll support your new, what have you. I'll support you running for Senate. And you wind up seeing this expressed in things like, the Skull and Bones Society. The Council on Foreign Relations is another big one. And they tend to all wind up in these groups. I'm not necessarily convinced because the groups are running the world so much as it's like the people who are running the world and who are given that, well, not given, but have taken that right from us, just tend to go towards those groups. They tend to be in those kind of societies, what have you. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Kind of, yeah. And I guess I have one more question.
Okay, sure.
Ultimate pyramid scheme I've always, in the back of my mind, on the back of the $1 Federal Reserve notes, there's that pyramid with the eye, always. And the Latin around it, I think it said, victory is ours, something has been crowned, and it literally says New World Order. And there's all kinds of crazy little things you can draw. You can draw on the Star of David on there, and it aligns certain letters and Masonic stuff. Why would someone actually put that on the dollar bill? Why would the Federal Reserve, which isn't, it's a private company.
Right.
I mean, they loan money to the government, put the government in debt. Why would the Federal Reserve put a pyramid with the all-seeing eye, quote unquote, symbol of the non-existent Illuminati or the existent Illuminati? Why would that even be there to begin with, taunting us, laughing at us? Or is it just, putting crazy thoughts into my head and keeping little people like me at the bottom of the pyramid running amok? Like, what, do you have any idea what's going on there? I've had that question since I was like a kid.
When I worked for the Federal Reserve, this is what they told me. No, I couldn't say for particular reasons why it's there or why it's not. I do believe that certain groups like, certain people, well, not people, but like institutions like Sci-Fi Network, various magazines and stuff, make a lot of money off drawing a lot of connections that may not necessarily be there. And I think you touched upon something. It's not, you said I'm going to be down here at the bottom of the pyramid running amok. The thing is, if you can get people to chase after like secret societies and conspiracy theories and oh my God, they're holding aliens at Area 51, that's all kinds of time, energy, and resources that those people can't devote to organizing, labor unions, to organizing direct action in their communities, to organizing against, against their against the policies of their government, the policies of their workplace, homophobic policies, etc. You're onto something about the Federal Reserve, though. I mean, as far as, a fishy, and the government's full of that. Not just the Federal Reserve, but the NED. It's classified as like a nonprofit organization. It gets 99% of its money from the government. How could it be a nonprofit? It's classified as a nonprofit, non-governmental organization at that. Freedom House has done the same way. Those are definitely things that we have to look into. And I think that's something, I'm glad you brought that up, because it delegitimizes the state, which is something that anarchists are always interested in. Why would the state need to depend on the Federal Reserve? Why would the state need to create non-governmental organizations that it then funds if the state is, the organization that makes things happen? You know what I'm saying? Again, I can't answer all the questions like why can you fold a $20 bill and you can get the 9/11 burning. I don't know. People get high, man. People get high and they come up with stuff. No.